So I wasn't actually planning to do this stream, but I had to research. I really hope you guys can hear me. My voice is just like fucked. Hey Leslie. Excuse me. I'll try to wait for a couple more people to come in, but I figure I wanted to do, I'm like long overdue to do another Not Our Crimes episode. And I really wanted to focus on the Harvey Marcelin case. But I had to do I want to do some research for it, but I figured I'll just do it with you guys. It might be interesting. So I figured you guys could hang out with me while I was working on this. So I'm just gonna jump into it, even if people aren't here. Hey Dragon, hey Leslie. So this is for the Harvey Marcelin. This is a man who identifies as a woman who has been paroled out now twice. He's a serial killer of women, and he's been paroled out twice in New York City. And every single time he gets paroled out, he murders women. So he was originally, I think back in 1983, he was arrested for shooting and killing his live-in girlfriend. I don't know if he was trans-identifying at that time or not, but we'll try to see what we can find out. And then was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. So when you get a sentence of 20 years to life, for example, 20 years is the earliest that you're up for parole, which means that, you'll go before the board, and if depending on how your behavior's been, they can decide to re-parole you out under supervision. It's very similar to probation, but it's like state supervision. You have sometimes curfews, sometimes you get let out to a halfway house, so whatever. So I guess within, I don't know how long, well, I'll look up, when he was let out on parole the first time, back in the 90s, we'll figure out when it was, he went and stabbed another woman to death, cut up her body, and bagged her, put her in plastic bags, and discarded her. Okay, so they rearrested this piece of shit. I don't know where they housed him, but he makes parole again. He makes parole again. I guess, I don't know, within the past few years, it does the exact same fucking thing. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And I say this as somebody who wants to reform the criminal justice system, who thinks that the criminal justice system is out of control, who thinks that we have a huge mass incarceration problem in this country. It's destroying lives, destroying communities. But at the same time, when you have these really heinous, vicious crimes, that's different. That's different than somebody, going and robbing a convenience store, but not hurting anybody without a weapon or something, or stealing something, whatever, some crime of passion, desperation sort of thing. When you can be a cold, and please understand. What was it? What's that other guy's name? The other one that I did the one in Sweden. That I did the other Not Our Crimes on. Oh my God, what's his name? He changed his name twice. Well, he had also dismembered his girlfriend. He didn't just kill her, but he dismembered her. Try and get against this. This is the 83-year-old woman's here. Yeah, so this is the old. Yes, it is. It's the old guy. Fucking old, disgusting. Oh my God. So, even in, for the Magdala Johansson thing, they let that scumbag out after 10 years after he hacked somebody apart. You gotta understand, cutting apart a human body is really hard. That takes a lot of conscious effort and decision. Hey, Abel. To take a human body apart, you gotta understand, you have skin. Our skin is strong. Our muscles are thick. You gotta actually break through bones. You gotta actually cut somebody's body apart requires so much forethought, so much conscious decision, deliberate action. It is so heinous to go back. It's one thing to just maybe freak out and use too much force or pull a trigger and you kill somebody and it's just like all happening so fast. But then to go ahead and dismember their body shows a level of cold, calculated, evil inhumanity. So to go and let these people out fucking makes no sense. All right, so they just found out, I guess, the cause of death of the victim. They weren't sure. Spoiler, it ends up being blunt force trauma, right? So basically this guy, let's read it. All right, so and of course, even isn't New York Post is fairly conservative, yes. And somebody brought this up too, that even the conservatives are starting to make some concessions, and now like I'm going to talk about this in my next stream about like where do we have, when is it appropriate to be moderate just to protect kids or whoever. But it's like I also understand why we're keeping a hard line, because little by little we start to chip away. Even the conservatives now are starting to take on some trans rights rhetoric and adopt it and accept it to take like a moderate stand. And this thing is insidious. So New York Post, it is a conservative media outlet. Oh shit! Is my phone? Can you guys hear me? Hold on. Okay, good. It is taking on some of this language, right? So let's see. So it has the woman allegedly. Oh no, never mind. Okay, this is actually referring to the actual female. The woman allegedly murdered by an 83-year-old serial killer. All right, never mind. Never mind. False alarm. Sorry. I thought that they were referring to the guy when they said the woman. So maybe New York Post isn't going to use preferred pronouns. Let's find out. That's good. Like they need, like the conservatives need to hold the line. Fuck, hold on. Let me get my drink really fast. Okay. Sorry. So it says the woman allegedly murdered by an 83-year-old serial killer died of homicidal violence, including, what is that? I guess just attacking her like with the intent to kill her. Including blunt force trauma to the head, the New York City Medical Examiner said Saturday. I want to keep up with the my throat. I don't know, guys. I've just been really sick a lot lately. I don't know what's going on with my throat. I've just been really sick. It's just like won't stop. It's like one thing after another. And I think that like whatever. I don't know if it has to do with the fluid in my lungs or whatever. It says, let's see, died of homicidal violence, including blunt force trauma to the head. Harvey Marcelin, who identified, there's like I've listened to a couple news outlets on this. They're all pronouncing his last name differently. So Marcelin is like it looked like it'd be like Marceline if that was the first name, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly. Who identifies as a transgender woman, is accused of killing Susan Layden, 68, and then dismembering her body. Good. I'm glad that they're acknowledging that this man's trans identified, but they're not saying a transgender woman or woman or she or her. You can tell that they're like avoiding the whole, which I mean, good, I guess. That's better than bowing to it. Marcelin was captured on video lugging around a severed leg wrapped in plastic in her motorized wheelchair. Oh no, they did say her. So this right here is the woman on the screen is the victim. This is not the troon. Life of Beauty K said, I'm so angry this morning after seeing Rebel Wilson and Emma Watson making jokes and making light of everything that's going on to women in our sex-based rights. And Emma Watson, like, how dare you? You entitled brat. I'll never forgive her the way that after, she's treated J.K. Rowling. Like, she breathed life into you as a career. How dare you? So anyway, so this is what I thought was really interesting, and this is kind of why I felt that this this case ties into the Dana Rivers one because Layden, so the victim, Layden, lived in an LGBTQ senior center in Fort Greene. God, what a nightmare. Can you imagine? Who was seen on surveillance video wheeling a bag into Marcelin's apartment on February 27th and never was heard from again. I'm wondering, is she a lesbian? I wonder if Layden, if this woman here who was the victim, who died at the hands of this trans-identified man, I wonder if she was a lesbian. And I think that lesbians specifically are at risk, and they're, in a unique level of risk with some of these men, especially some of these like hardcore AGPs who see them as like the kind of like, because again, it's like, again, what does the term dyke mean, right? If you guys read my post before, term dyke is something that stops the flow of water. It's like a barrier, right? And it was used as a slur for lesbian women, saying, that they gatekeep out penises, men. And it's like, that's the ultimate affirmation, right? The same way that for an HSTS, the ultimate affirmation is a straight male. Is a totally heterosexual man, right? To take on, an HSTS. And for an AGP, it's a lesbian woman, right? And there's this like weird kind of hate. So I bring that up because it seems like this was targeted the same way that with Dana Rivers targeted two lesbian women, a lesbian couple who committed the ultimate sin of being opposite sex repulsed and same sex attracted. And not only that, but participated in single sex spaces and activities that center women and lesbians exclusively, i.e., Mitchfest. We know that the two women who were murdered by Dana Rivers back in 1994 were attendees of Mitchfest. Or not 1994. That was when he had his, that was in the 2000s. 1994 was when he like came out as trans. So, and again, it's like the same way that Dana Rivers first targeted Mitchfest is like, this focal point of his rage and his envy and his this one thing that will always remind him that he's not actually a woman, that he can't actually become, it's the only people who wouldn't bend to his LARPing fantasy and say, no, you're a man. No matter how many times you want to say you're a woman, you're a man, and this is for women only. So, of course, what do? He got it shut down. Then, what's the next target? A lesbian couple who exclude him inherently. Marcelin's crimes are horrific. They absolutely are. Say, Ally Pastor says, an old-fashioned lesbian. Say, Karen Alexa says, hello, Turvins. I'm in an exhausting discussion with two gay colleagues today. I can't fathom why they're trans inclusive. Oh, God, what a mess. Also supporting polyamory, drugs, surrogacy, and condemning heterosexuals. Well, of course they support surrogacy. Surrogacy benefits gay men. Like, let's be real. Gay men are problematic in a lot of ways sometimes, or even just like that community when it comes to women's rights, and it's stuff that we've got to just acknowledge. AGPs seem to have more crimes than regular men. They do, and we know that, we've seen the Swedish studies that show that AGPs and trans-identified males, but I'm thinking it's AGPs, have higher rates of sex offender status. I think it's like up to like 45%. Someone says Clive Simpson did that story on his channel. He's amazing. Which one? Anyway, little cat feet. That does not surprise me. AGPs are just not mentally, they have a paraphilia connected to a reproductive strategy. Them being violent is probably somewhat hardwired. I want to like post, yes, exactly. BiblioWolf says, AGPs are not just mentally ill. They have a paraphilia connected to a reproductive strategy. Them being violent is probably somewhat hardwired. Absolutely. Men are wired to get past the gates of female sexuality. It is like, Yeah, it's wired in them. When you realize that every living organism has one primary basic function on this planet, and that is to pass on their genetic lineage, right? That's why sexual desire is so strong. There's a lot of things that feel good. Getting a massage feels really good, but there's something about in us that is hardwired to seek out sex and to almost even base our lives around it to a certain extent. And for men, this is especially true, because again, they cannot pass on their genetic lineage until they can get a woman to let her guard down, or to accept him in some way. And this is why men rape. This is why men develop different paraphilias. I think they're different strategies. Absolutely. All right. So it says, let's get back. Layden, who lived. Let's see. All right. So Layden, who lived in an LGBTQ senior center in Fort Greene, was seen on surveillance video wheeling a bag into Marcelin's apartment on February 27th and was never heard from again. The pair had met 2 years ago on social media, police said. I wonder if they were, sexually involved. Maybe she was bisexual. Maybe, Layden was bisexual. Marcelin had spent more than 50 years in state prison for killing 2 girlfriends, and we let him out again. And the thing that's crazy, too, and it just goes to show how look at this little old man, that he could still kill out such a heinous crime of stabbing someone to death and dismembering her body. We know just from crime stats, most men grow out of criminality. The majority of men who kind of just had a real troubled past and were kind of a problem, for a lot of their lives, eventually do grow out of peak criminality. And that's why it's typically considered safer to let out older men. But not when you have heinous crimes of a man who already killed 2 women. And then there's such a difference between shooting someone to death and stabbing someone to death. That is up close and personal. You're really in it. That is intimate. So if somebody can intimately murder somebody, and not just murder them, but overkill them, that's a big deal. I really don't care whether people, adults, and children are gay or not. Yeah, no, I don't think any of us do. This is a very pro LGBT page. I just some gay men are just have some certain problematic cultural stuff. Okay, let's when it comes to the rights and welfare of women, I wanted to go through. Okay, I was looking at Spinster, had some good stuff. Let's look at a couple of these quotes from Spinster. Spinster, if you guys aren't aware, is a radical feminist, sort of it's similar to it's a radical feminist Instagram kind of is a way to kind of look at it. All right. And Anangokwe, this person also posts on Instagram and also is active on Getter, and they post good content. Says misogynist men never cared about women. Quote, Marcelin epitomizes the worst example of unbridled male violence, and to pretend he is the same sex as those whose lives he destroyed is nothing short of an abomination. By Julie Bindel. Quote, when I spoke to the DA's office in Brooklyn about the danger Harvey Marcelin poses to women in prison, Marcelin is trans, self-ID male, he sneered that, quote, there aren't many chainsaws in prison, end quote. So that's what that was the DA's response? There aren't many chainsaws in prison? What the fuck does that have to do with, well, then why do we even have, okay, sir. So, first of all, male bodies are the weapon, jackass. There's a reason why women arm themselves. There's a reason why women need tools. That's the disparity. Fuck are you talking about? A man has 1,000% the punching power of a woman? How dare you? And of course it'd be, oh my God, a man to write it off. How dare you? Hey Harry. Straight 750 says get the T out of LGB. Allie Reeser says chop up a body is a whole other level. Absolutely. Like that shows a level of just intent that is hardcore. So Paul says Dana Rivers, he does stories on violent trans and other subjects. Who, Clive? Clive like just started doing that. That's good though. I did one on Dana Rivers too. I'm interested to see what his take is on it. I don't like Clive that much. Just because he's like been attacking important feminists that he should keep fucking mind his business and realize that he's a male ally in this, but he's an ally. And when it comes to certain feminist issues, like he needs to just chill out. All right, let's see. No one seems to know when Marcelin began identifying as a woman, but there's no evidence that he had undergone treatment of any kind, and it would appear that he was presenting as male until very close to the discovery of Layden's remains. Harvey Marcelin is a male serial killer. Timeline: 1957. Harvey was a serial rapist. He was finally charged in an attempted assault in 1957, but the victim was afraid to appear in court. This is so common. April 18th of 1963. Harvey murdered Jacqueline Bonds. And I want to look up these women too and highlight them. I don't only want all the attention to be on these scumbag men. Harvey was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison. Not really life. Right? Come out to murder 2 more people, get that in. 1984, Harvey was released on lifetime parole. 1985, Harvey murdered Ana Laura Serrera Miranda and dumped her body parts in Central Park. How the fuck did he ever get back at? That should have been it. Maybe the first murder, okay, it was a crime of passion. He shot his girlfriend. It's like a lover's quarrel. Again, it's about different levels of intent. There's a whole difference of like just pulling a trigger during a really heated, intense moment and then going and repeatedly stabbing someone over and over and over again. And then after they're dead, overkilling them by taking their body apart and then taking it and dumping it. There's just so many more steps that is involved in that reveals the sort of mental depravity of that person than just pulling a trigger during a couple's dispute. So, it's understandable maybe why he was let out the first time, but the second time? Come on, like... And again, and I'll bet you anything too, a lot of this has to be political. It's, he's like this little old trans woman. She's, she's vulnerable and they try to paint them as these super vulnerable individuals in prison and they need to be protected. Like, it's such bullshit. So he was released. So 1984 is released on lifetime parole. Okay, then 85 he murdered Ana Laura Serrera Miranda, dumped her parts in Central Park, which is exactly what he did now on this third murder, and this is femicide. 1986, Harvey was allowed to plea bargain to first-degree manslaughter. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. First-degree manslaughter? On like hacking somebody, to hack somebody up, you get first-degree manslaughter. You know who else is getting first-degree manslaughter or who just got charged with first-degree manslaughter? There was a woman who opened up a drawbridge and didn't realize that there was a woman on the bridge even after like signaling, and I guess maybe she was just didn't check as well as she should have. But it was like a bridge operator accidentally opened up the bridge on a woman. This poor woman, my God, fell to her death. And they're charging her with first-degree manslaughter. Like, that was a legitimate accident. Maybe she was, who knows, maybe she wasn't paying attention. Maybe she was being negligent, so that's why it's legitimate, if she's being charged with manslaughter. But this is not a manslaughter. Manslaughter is when you kill, when in the course of your actions that you chose, you kill somebody. The intent, though, wasn't to actually kill somebody, but you did have intent to carry out the other actions that then led to their death. And that's really what a manslaughter charge is. That's insane that he was even allowed to plead to that after already having murdered somebody. It's not like, oh, you have no criminal record. He has the worst gravity score possible. Yeah, Leslie said stopped watching Clive because of his attacks on feminists. Yeah, Clive since is like a scumbag, like at this point, for just the way that he's been treating just feminist women, and of course teaming up with some of these like just men who are very, very into themselves. So I'm cool off Clive, to be honest. I thought U.S. prison sentences were harsh, or was that just for pot smokers and prostitutes? Yeah, that's the thing, little Cappy, is that they are harsh. They're insanely harsh, but it's like weirdly applied. But then sometimes it's not, and some people get away with stupid shit. It's like they're making some people, they'll like recycle back in the system over and over and over again for like nothing. It's all fucked up. It's just a lot of it is fucked up. This XX matters. Police and judiciary angry men using law to hit women. No protection for women, and that's why again, absolutely. So this XX matters. Exactly, and that's why there is no reason that these are not considered hate crimes against women, and I'm going to explain why. So let's take a look. I found this, and I thought you guys would think it's interesting. Okay, so this is, let me see if you guys can see it. I want to make sure. Okay, so whenever the parole board, so when you're up for parole, you have to go in front of a board. And it's usually made up of like a mixture of like citizens, and then you can get the jail vote, and there's, you know, several layers of people that have to like basically vote to see if they want to release you on parole on supervision out in the world. And they, you know, so I guess he appealed the parole decision after they denied him the first time, and they gave a written statement, or I guess, you know, this is the court's, you know, judgment and statement about the judgment. Let's see. Crimes of passion shouldn't be validated. The term implies that men are justified in killing. Nah, I disagree. I'm not saying that it's not just for men, it's for a lot of people. Crimes of passion is a real thing. And no, it's not the same as like a calculated, carried out thing. And it's not just because someone gets mad and then kills his wife that he's been beating. You know, if it's a man who like has been just beating his wife forever and then just randomly gets mad, that's not a crime of passion, right? Like that shows consistent, you know, but like say for example, it's like the guy whose son, he like walked in on like his son being molested by the like babysitter kid and like beat the shit out of him like within like an inch of his life. That's a crime of passion. That's legitimate. And listen, like, you know, just because even if something is a crime of passion, that doesn't mean that women don't deserve like full protection from these men. You know, I think that we've got to start exploring other ways to like actually protect women. We're failing women across the board, but then we're also over penalizing some people. It's complicated. That's a whole other thing. But anyway, matter of Marcelin versus Travis. So this is what, 1999. The matter of Harvey Marcelin appellant versus Brian D. Davis as chairman, New York State Division of Parole respondent. So he sued the parole board for, I guess, denying him, or not, I'm sorry, not, he didn't sue, he appealed the decision, which is basically the same thing as suing. It's just, but in a criminal thing. Appellate Division of the Supreme Court of New York, Third Department decided June 17, 1999. This is after he killed his girlfriend the first time. Petitioner was sentenced to a prison term of 6 to 12 years following his conviction for the crime of manslaughter in the first degree stemming from the stabbing. Oh, God, this is after the second one. Okay, so this is after he already did murder. So this is after he murdered his second victim, second woman who he stabbed to death. The first one he shot to death, the second one he stabbed to death, the third one it was blunt force trauma and then hacked up her body. But the last two victims, he hacked up their bodies. After repeatedly stabbing the victim, petitioner placed her body in a trash bag, which is exactly what he did again when they finally did decide to let him out, which he left on the street. At the time of the commission of this crime, petitioner was under parole supervision for life as a result of the 1963 conviction of murder in the first degree, which also involved the death of a woman with whom petitioner had been living. Following petitioner's unsuccessful request for parole release in 1991, 1993, and 1995, he appeared, so it's usually every 2 years. So when you have a really hardcore sentence like that, like for murder, or you have life, you get to go up, like, I think every 2 years. It depends. Every state is different, but it's like every 2 years, sometimes 3. Oh, hey, yay, Vanessa and Ella. Ella Androphobia, have you got, oh, wait, what happened to did you just change your name? Ella, what is it, anthropophobia or anthropophobia? What happened? Did you lose your channel? Or did you just change it? Hey, Vanessa Voki, if you guys aren't following Vanessa and Ella, definitely 2 women who make great content. Let's see. Delcy Steffi says Brooklyn needs to wake up. The LGBT community in New York City needs to speak up. That DA knows darn well, and this murderer could use blunt force trauma to kill women. Oh, yes! Exactly! I don't even know why they would say such a ridiculous thing as, oh, there's no chainsaws in prison. Yeah, asshole. He didn't use a chainsaw to kill this woman. He beat her to death, dumbass. Of course, every woman is in danger. He should be, housed separately. But like, God, what a vile thing to say. And it's so frustrating too, because so many of these people who work in like our criminal justice system are just so like they like, what does it require? Like, I think the police academy is like a 6-month training program, and you just need like a high school diploma. So it's like the level of like, but then again, it's like I don't even trust academia anymore. Like, I don't know, everything's just let's see. Why does he bring body parts into society, Reeser? I don't know. That's got to be a part of like whatever his sick thing is, whatever he's like getting off on about this whole thing. The vast majority of people incarcerated in the U.S. is for nonviolent offenses and nonviolent drug crimes. Exactly. And the drug crimes are what makes a lot of money. The DEA. It's a lot of it's about money. They make $70,000 per inmate who's locked up a year. It's all to feed the prison industrial complex, whereas then certain crimes that aren't lucrative, like violence against women by wealthy men, that's not lucrative. Why? Because if they know, say a man beats his wife, but he has a good job and he's well respected in the community, not only is that going to be a hard sell, oh, this guy who the community loves, should go to jail, he's going to lawyer the hell up with good lawyers and stuff. They know it's going to, they're going to end up spending a lot of money, and maybe the wife won't show up. So they don't, because she's financially dependent on him, and again, that's another sort of control, is the financial abuse, financial control, which keeps women tethered in these situations, and they feel like they're just stuck. So that's not lucrative to go after men who abuse women like that, because there's not, you spend all this money on this guy, and he's going to fight you in court and chip away at court, and then there's all these resources down the drain. What scores money for people, or for the DA's office and for the detectives and the police department, is these big drug busts and drug pools and all that sort of things like that. Because the whole community is like, oh, that's great, get these drugs and drug dealers off the streets, and it's ruining everything. And a lot of people have been touched by addiction, and they're sick of it, and they think that just removing some of these low-level drug dealers is going to like fix the problem, as if it's not, just perpetuating a even more vicious black market. But okay, so Let's see, blunt force trauma. Yeah, it's moronic. The DA should be fired. What did I say? Did I not say blunt force trauma? Did I say something else? I don't know. Karen Alex, I'm an academic and being gender critical is not easy. The young generation is lost to woke ideology. Absolutely. Leslie Farrington, prisoners are turned into commodities more than we even realize. It's terrifying. Judy, see how far in this live. Yeah, I just had to do research on this guy. I'm gonna do like a succinct video on him and make it like just more, but I figured that you guys could hang out with me while I'm doing some research and we'll just talk and whatever. Oh yeah, child molesters get like probation or like a year in prison. Because again, there's just not the money isn't there. They don't make money off of that sort of thing. And then plus they got to house them specially because then they're at risk, within the jail. And it ends up, they don't want it. If it's going to cost them money, they don't want it. And that's the same thing with a lot of these trans-identified males is it costs all this money because you have to like house them separately and you have to pay extra guards to like, watch their wing and all this sort of stuff. It's expensive to have all these special accommodations for these, men who want to LARP and indulge in their fetish while in prison. And then, then you get all these assholes, these woke LGBTQ crusaders, these trans rights activists who make your life a living hell every step of the way to keep these guys locked up. It's just not even worth it. That's why they let them out. So, all right. So it says at the time of the commission of the crime, let's see. So petitioner was sentenced to a prison term of 6 to 12 years following his conviction for the crime of manslaughter in the first degree stemming from a stabbing death of his live-in girlfriend. After repeatedly stabbing the victim, petitioner placed her body in a trash bag which he left on the street. At the time of the commission of his crime, petitioner was under parole supervision for life as a result of the 1963 conviction of murder in the first degree, which also involved the death of a woman with whom the petitioner had been living. The fact that he had already been convicted of first degree murder and was allowed to plea out to first degree manslaughter to an even worse murder is such that there was such a failure of our criminal justice system. With whom he had been living. So it seems like he has romantic relationships with all these women potentially. And I'm not sure about this third one. I don't think anybody's really sure, but it's looking like that. Following the petitioner's unsuccessful request for parole release in 91, 93, 95, he again appeared before the State Parole Board August 21st, 1997 for a parole release interview, during the course of which he described the crime and admitted that he had problems with women. He told the parole board that he has problems with women. Why is this not being listed as a hate-based femicide? This is a hate crime against women. Is it why? Because it's just super common? Because it's so common for us to, hold on, let me move this out of the way. Let me move myself out of the way. Because we're so used to seeing crimes against women. So it's all good. So what if it's like, it's got to be real rare for it to be considered a hate crime? Just regular old run-of-the-mill hatred for women? Because we couldn't acknowledge that, could we? But let there be some, some guy who, was drunk driving and ran a red light and accidentally crashed into a car that happened to be carrying a trans-identified male, and then someone pulls a tweet of the guy who hit him making fun of trannies from 15 years ago, and everybody makes the connection, and then the guy ends up passing, the trans-identified male passes away in the hospital. Everyone's like, oh, it was a hate crime. There'll be some loose, really abstract, relationship between maybe the guy who made fun of trannies and then accidentally killed somebody. And then it's that's plastered everywhere as a hate crime. This guy's literally saying, I have a problem with women. I don't like women. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, they probably joked around with him. Yeah, women will really get you, won't they? Well, I wonder if they looked at him yeah, well, sir, then why do you fucking dress up like one every day like you're a fucking clown? Why are you playing dress up as one? Why do, what is it? You like want to live inside their skin? I'll bet you anything they like were like chummy with him about it. Like, oh yeah, my wife, she's a real pain in the ass. Like, as if it's just all funny and cute and normal. And yeah, we all hate women, right? It's kind of like everybody. It's so sick, yo. He admitted he described the crime. So he described stabbing to death this woman that he had an intimate relationship with, and then admitted he had problems with women. I wish that they had that on tape. And again, denying the petition's application for parolees, the parole board cited as factors, inter alia, the seriousness of the crime, petitioner's violent history, and his attempt to place the blame for his actions on the victim. Oh, exactly. So now, of course, it's her fault, right? She's just such a bitch. I just wanted to live inside her skin. She caught me jerking off in her panties again. So sick of this bitch. Fucking scumbag. And I feel like it's probably like envy, like rage. It's like just the jealousy. Jealousy is one hell of a disease, one hell of a emotion. And imagine being with one of these men. Please stay away from any man that shows any signs of autogynephilia. My God. Dragon Kid again says uterine envy. Autistic Autumn says soft white underbelly is really good, but a hard watch. Oh, soft white underbelly is hard to watch. It is good, but it's hard. Stay Stone the Crone. Lovely Australian morning, Ella and XX Matters. Hey guys. Hey everybody coming in. Judy C. Men want women to be terrified. We are more easily controlled. It's true. God, could you imagine? Allie Research, usually their self-defense claim. Let's see. Oh, yes, Karen. Allie Research says, yes, Karen. ENV of what they can't be have exactly. They hate us because they ain't us. Leisha Camden says, yeah, that's literally true. And it's not like we're just like making it up. Like, no, it's literally true. Like you're literally like trying to like shape your body to look like a woman. You study our mannerisms. Could you imagine just the level of like self-indulgence it takes to like be so obsessed with somebody to want to become them? You study their mannerisms, you study how they dress, how they look, how they talk, how they behave, and you practice in front of a mirror, and still nobody thinks you're a woman. Still you don't pass. Sorry, Harv. The fucking male, and it's all that testosterone running through your veins. It's kind of like all over your face. We can fucking just oozes out of every pore of your body. And I know that just burns you with anger and envy and hatred. Oh God, these people are sick. Following an administrative appeal, the parole board's decision was affirmed. Good, so they held up the parole board. Petitioner then commenced his CPLR Article 78 proceedings challenging the determination. Supreme Court dismissed the petition and the appeal followed. How much money and resources is wasted? And it's like these people who like will just wait. They're just so entitled. Rather than like, all right, I'll come back in 2 years. Let me just keep wasting time and resources. Stone the Crone says Buffalo Bill comes in herds now. Oh my God, this is a Buffalo Bill. No, and the connection is so obvious. We affirm, because the record discloses that the parole board considered all relevant factors in denying petitioner's parole request. Yeah, what is the appeal based on? Like, what is he appealing? Like, yeah, there's a very, like, legitimate, it's not like he's, like, spent 15 years because, he stole, like, $200 from his job and, like, they keep denying him and he's fine. Like, come on, bro. Like, I've paid the money back. I've done all that you wanted me to do. I've never gotten in trouble for it. Oh, this is your second fucking murder, you piece of shit. Like, be lucky that they even gave you parole and not mandatory life with no parole, which is what you deserved, especially after the second time. So they held up the decision to deny parole, including the positive factors. So they even reviewed the positive factors, such as his educational achievements while incarcerated. Judicial review of the parole board's determination is precluded. All right, so denied. While it's true that the petitioner received a certificate of earned eligibility, the parole board specifically found the petitioner did not remain at liberty without violating the law, and his release at his time cannot be compatible with the welfare of society. Yeah, that's an understatement. He went out and stabbed another woman to death, mirroring his previous crime. He just came out and did it right again. Of course, he should never have even been eligible for parole. Period. Jack says these are inadequate guys who hate the male competitiveness, but who think women have it easier and respond to their hatred of men by pretending to be women. Exactly, and to just get around life. I've even heard men say that. I heard a trans-identified male, fucking, I wish I had the clip, say that he feels like being a woman is almost like a type of disability that gives him kind of like permission to just have an easier life, and that people will like kind of treat you as if you're just permanently disabled and don't expect as much of you, and makes life easier. He believes that being a woman is like a type of disability that all of society recognizes. Right, because we do less work, right? We do less work. Holy fucking shit. I do less work than my ex-husband. Yeah, you fucking got it, right? Because I'm not like maintaining the house by myself, maintaining all of our bills, maintaining our whole life, maintaining the emotional, material, psychological, physical well-being of all 4 of our kids while you're off like jerking off. Yeah, okay. Right. Where's my like life hasn't, gone on easy on me yet. No one's like, oh, she's just too stupid and too weak and fragile to handle responsibilities. I never got that pass. Jamie Chaos says, do these upper middle class suburbanites really think the patriarchy was defeated with a pussy hat? Jesus, yeah. Yep. They genuinely do. We have examined petitioner's remaining procedural arguments, including his challenge to the composition of the parole board, and find them to be without merit. Contrary to the petitioner's argument, he was not denied procedural due process because the members of the parole board who were present at his hearing were women. Oh, wow! Wow, that's why oh my God. That is the basis. That's what his standing for appealing the decision is, because he said that because all of the women on the parole board, or all of the people on the parole board were women, that he did not get due process or a fair hearing. Nobody. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. Women had to be judged by men for centuries. Women had their lives and their fates described and decided for them by men forever. We didn't have the option to go be seen by women. We didn't have the option. We don't get to say, oh, hey, it's not fair that it's all men who are deciding that these males should be housed with us. They're getting to decide our fate for us. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, he really hates women. That's really, really what it is. Oh, wow. That's so telling. This is a femicide. This is a hate-based femicide. This is a hate crime. All right, let's see if we can watch one of these. I want to watch one of these. Let's see, hold on. Let me pull up. Let's see. Here, let's watch one of these resources. My internet's being slow. Oh, guys, how are you guys? Doesn't this stuff just make you mad? It's just like, and it's just so sad. Women are expected to hand me.
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best,
women are just expected to support these men and to be comfort animals for these men, and they turn around and kill us and want to scalp us and wear our skin. No, this is like a long one. Hold on, I want like a news thing. Let me see. And then I gotta get going, guys. We'll come back and we'll stay on top of this. Let's see. Here we go.
A murder mystery, the search for the person who mutilated a woman in Brooklyn. Police tell us what appears to be a leg was found wrapped up in Cypress Hills on...
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I just want to fix the screen for you guys so that you're not missing any of it. Cypress Hill. Hits from the bar. Just kidding. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, here we go. Jesus Christ.
On Jamaica Avenue near Vermont Street. Tonight, a two-time convicted killer charged with murdering again.
Look at him. Look at him.
This is a gruesome and barbaric homicide which resulted in a headless torso being disposed of on a New York City corner.
Yeah, so they found, by the way, they found her head, the victim's head in his like apartment. So he wrapped the torso, threw it on a corner, took the head. They found the head in his apartment after they arrested him, and then he had walked around with the leg wrapped up in a bag and went shopping with it. He went to Walmart, carried it around the Walmart. You know, and with all due respect, like, thanks so much for the tears, like, that's, you know, cute. But why the fuck did you guys not do your job the first 2 times that this happened? There is no excuse that this man ever walked the street again. And then we have, you know, women giving birth in jail because they, like, were a getaway driver for, you know, a bank robber boyfriend who now they're giving birth in jail and spending, you know, 30 years in the feds. But this guy gets chance after chance to just keep murdering women. We know that most women who commit crimes do so on behalf of men or due to addiction problems or mental health. But also a very big portion of them are committing crimes in connection with a man, you know, on behalf of a man, just, you know, as an accomplice in some way. And they get the hammer. They get hammered. They're giving birth in jail. They're, you know, we've never seen their children grow up, never hugging their children again. This guy can just keep on coming back to murder women, and it's what, we get an apology every time. No, like, no, thanks. I don't accept. Like, yeah, no, you can't be sorry enough for me to, you know, give a shit. Save the tears.
And it takes a serial killer off our street. So I'd like to draw your attention to February 27th at approximately 11:40 hours. We observed our victim enter 50 Pennsylvania Avenue with the same shopping cart she was later found dead inside.
Oh, wow. So she brought in, this poor woman, my God, I guess brought a shopping cart in. And then he stuffed her back in the shopping cart. That's sweetheart. I wish, ooh. It's like, I just think of, like, my mom, you know, and I have, like, a weird relationship with my parents, but, like, God, my mom or just anybody that I love, my mother-in-law. Just, like, being, like, scared and just mutilated by these men. You know, again, women don't get to identify out of having a weaker body frame. Women don't get to identify out of being, you know, victims of violence, of female-based violence. We're not identifying. It's a shame. Hey, Susan, why didn't you just identify out of being a woman? Then you wouldn't have gotten killed for being one, dummy. Like, it's so unreal. It's, my God. Like, it's like, look at her. This woman should have been protected by our community, by our society. Like, we all failed her. It's so sad.
She's later identified as Susan Yeldon, female, white, 68 years old.
She kind of reminds me of my mom. It's so sad, you know, like, it's so sad.
She resides at a senior home for the LGBTQ plus community in Fort Greene. According to persons known to us, she has lived there for 8 months and is an activist and supporter of these causes.
Oh, How much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet this poor woman, Susan, got suckered into being like a champion for trans rights? How much do you want to bet that this woman stood for trans rights? Thinking that that was the kind and loving position to take. Seeing trans people as victims who needed a voice. How much do you want to bet that this woman, Susan Layden, who lost her life at the hands of a trans-identified male who wanted to wear her skin, probably used her voice to stand up for his right to be identified as she, her in the news? How much do you want to bet? And again, this is what, I think it was Little Cat Feet had said that in a future video I should focus on how women have better natural instincts for danger, but we're training women and children out of our natural internal voice. We are making women feel like they're bigots if they look at somebody and say, that person looks scary. I tell my kids, if you ever see an adult who looks like they're just fucking weird and it just gives you a weird feeling, you listen to that. I don't give a shit. Okay? And if someone gets mad at you, you come tell me and I'll check the shit out of them. But listen to your instincts. That is the best internal compass that you have. If there is anything that's ever weird about an adult, stay away from them. Don't be polite. You have my permission. You are polite to adults that you know deserve your politeness. Like a lady at the library who works there who helped you find your book. Or your teacher who you've grown a relationship with, who you know is, a good and decent person who's just trying to tell you to, stop chit-chatting with your friends. But if you know deep in your heart that there is just something weird about an adult and it just makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't even need to have a reason you can articulate. Trust that instinct. I've told my kids this. I've sat down, I said, listen to me. And if you're wrong and you were just rude, I'd rather you be wrong and have been rude. And then, I'm getting a phone call being like your son was, kind of rude or your daughter was rude. I'd rather you be rude. I'd rather you be rude. I don't want you to be so obedient and so well behaved that you put yourself in a dangerous position when your gut told you something is wrong. I want you to learn to hone that internal compass because it will guide you. We have got to stop teaching women and children to ignore that internal alarm. That is something that has evolved over thousands of years. That is an instinct. It is to protect us. We have a right to feel that and to respond to it, regardless of whoever's feelings.
Place, and it's so heartbreaking to hear this kind of news.
On March 1st, our perpetrator, Miss Harvey, and another unknown...
Miss Harvey. Weren't you just pretending to cry? Sir, I thought you were just pretending to cry at the podium. Why the fuck are you using she, her? How dare you disrespect Susan Layden like that? No, Susan Layden was a woman.
Female enter Home Depot in Manhattan. They purchase a Sawzall, trash bags, and cleaning solutions, and both individuals return to Pennsylvania Avenue. The next day, Miss Harvey is observed walking to the intersection of Atlantic and Pennsylvania, leaving our shopping cart behind. Approximately 6 hours later, a male observes the cart and calls 911. Upon arrival, they observed a black plastic bag inside a gray bag in a shopping cart.
So basically, this woman helped go purchase the supplies that her body was going to be dumped into. Ah, shit. Hold on for 1 second, guys. Hold on. You know what? I gotta get going. We're gonna continue this stream. Alright? More to come, and I'm gonna do a more succinct video. So sorry for that. Sorry, guys. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. I gotta get going. I just got a phone call. I realize I'm late. I'm gonna continue to stream. We're gonna do more, and then I'm gonna like put a succinct video together for this. But I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much. It's totally impromptu. Sorry that I gotta rush out, but talk to you guys soon. All right. Thank you for all your support. We'll stay on top of this case as it continues to develop. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.